I try to be quick because I know we are all tired and a bit destroyed by the climatic conditions of the island, so we need to not to suffer too much. I will present you, I guess, 10, 12 projects which are spanning a bit all the 10 years life of Bauer. But let me say 40% of them will be very recent projects in order not to annoy too much the people which already know. So Bauer started in 2004 after winning Europe. We were lucky, I guess, because it was 2 European sites in the same edition, so it was Budapest and Amsterdam. And immediately we faced a gigantic problem. So to run an office with 8 partners, which later became 7, later became 6, and this is the current condition. Obviously, to share a project, to run an office with so many other people, which you know more or less, which are somehow your friends, but it's not easy, and at the very beginning you got no idea at all. And I would say at the beginning it was really trying, attempting to create an organization of any sort. Now I think it's easier because we know each other much better. In the process, I got a feeling we, despite all our differences, which are evident, I got a feeling we developed a core of ideas which are somehow shared, which are related to our particular condition and allow us to do the project. And yeah, it's funny now to show this image because yesterday Calvino was talking about democratic beauty, and in a way, it's some years that we got this idea of democratic beauty in our heads. And this image is a little picture by Luigi Birri. It shows these souvenirs from maybe Ischia or Capri, I don't know what. But for us, it represents the classical idea of beauty, so sort of beauty which tries to have canon, beauty which is mass produced already in the classical time, because the canon allows you to produce it in quantity. In a way, a mass production of beauty, as in this case. These souvenirs are indeed little plastic statues. The second idea, or whatever, it's related to the fact that architecture cannot avoid confronting with monumentality. So, which obviously was always negated by the modern movement. We are not discovering anything here, but we really think it's an important part of the architectural discourse. This confront with monumentality with something which is supposed to be long-lasting and it's supposed to have a certain solidity. Obviously, given that we live now in the 21st century, this monumentality is a different kind compared to the classical one, or in this case the Egyptian one. It's somehow blurred, as this Gerhard Richter painting might suggest. Third idea, it's about style. You are 8 people, in a way it's impossible to have style. But even if you do not consider for a moment the fact that we are 8, we really believe style is absolutely unimportant. We don't believe you should have a signature style. We don't believe in this sort of branding or marketing operation, at least not through style. We aspire to have a method. It's still difficult to understand that, but and this image, this famous Friedrich Berger here by Schinkel in Berlin, it's for us a sort of clear sample of that, because Schinkel did like 4 different projects for this church. The church was always the same somehow, a big box somehow. And this is the built version, so neo-Gothic was a classical one, the neo-classical one was a neo-Romanesque one. So, I mean, style doesn't matter, because the project in its essence was always the same. We strongly believe in hybrids, as in this, again, notorious case of supposedly romantic. So this weird combination of elements, almost from the Middle Age, in a certain classical clarity, which classical clarity, a classical frame which is generous enough to tolerate the weirdness, the irregularities of this Middle Age insertion. Another idea, I would say, it's almost a myth for us, and I think that even to present that is always a bit, how to say, it's a bit like marking the huge difference in conditions, time, money, conditions. Another idea is the fact that in order to be able to work with so many partners, in order to be able even to talk about architecture, to learn possibly something about architecture, we strongly believe that you have to use models. So you have to deeply look for solutions in existing buildings, non-existing buildings, and so forth. This is a very straightforward case, no? So McKinney & White, huge office at the beginning of the late 19th century, early 20th century in New York, having to imagine a sort of image for the imperial, new imperial character of New York, and using the Roman heritage in order to do so. As in this case, the now demolished Pennsylvania station, in which the main hall was just a slightly bigger copy of the Caracalla bus. So keep it. They were traveling to Europe, buying these books from the French Academy, then going back to the States and giving them to their employees, and finding the right solution for the right building in the models presented by these books. Again, in white, so the possibility to work as a collective. And last, but not least, as they say, the fact that architecture cannot avoid producing a bit of surprise, cannot avoid trying to be fascinating. So it's not only about beauty, it's even about fashion somehow. I mean, you cannot pretend you are out of our world. And it's about a certain degree of surprise, as in this amazing exhibition by Castiglione brothers, which was about the products of the chemical industry for agriculture, in the Italy of the early 60s, in which these gigantic insects and mirrors are producing this sort of kaleidoscopic space. So projects. One of the two reasons why who started its existence. It's this Cassius, which is the project we presented in the Genoa 7 in Amsterdam. It was 2003. But it's funny because we presented two projects. They were the same projects for two very different sites. They were called Brutus and Cassius. So there was a sort of joke about different twins. And Cassius was a project on a beautiful neighborhood by Bachmann, Mother Bird. The guy in the middle is Jan Bachmann, which was a superstar for many years for Dutch culture, Dutch architectural scene. And the neighborhood was beautiful, to the extent that for our Italian eyes, we were really struggling to understand why they wanted to completely erase the existing neighborhood and replace it with something completely different, a sort of suburban dreams for Lubavitch. So our competition entry was based on the idea that this was a part of a city, a part of a much bigger master plan like Van Esther, and it was not possible to just substitute a piece of it, ignoring the fact that it was part of this much bigger, homogeneous environment, this sort of garden city imagined by Van Esther in the 1930s. What we did is, and opposing the belief from Europe, we kept 7 blocks out of the 14, 15, I don't remember now, existing blocks by Bachmann. So we create sort of space between these blocks. And we created this carpet of patio housing in between them in order to partially meet the request from the competition brief. At the same time, in a way, giving back to these Bachmann labs the sort of distance, the sort of space they never had for speculative reasons. In a way. It was a sort of corrective intervention on a maybe idealistic idea of the products and the modern movement. In between the slabs, we just designed these very narrow plots, like 30 meters by 5. Later, they became a bit bigger because we were not able to fit the houses inside. And in this sort of Gothic plots, we just throw in this wide amount, of different typologies. That was the overall scheme for the competition. We presented these super dry panels. They were in a way brave to accept this entry as a winning entry. Later on, we started developing typologies, producing big models in order to test these typologies. We started producing tools in order to start possible participation processes. Now, this was maybe not so kind as an object, but this was an object supposedly able to convey the idea of phasing. In one of these exhibitions we did there after the competition. This project was fundamental for our startup. At the same time, it collapsed after 4 or 5 years because of the crisis. We did the master plan, we did the first part of the architectural design, and then in 2008-9, basically the huge company which was running the project collapsed, and the master plan is still there. We don't know what it will happen in the future. Almost in the same years, so 2004, 5, 6, we started working in Albania. It was somehow different from Andrea Zanderigo, which was in contact with Edi Rama, the mayor of Tirana at the time. Edi Rama asked Portuguese and other intellectuals to provide him a sort of list of interesting offices in Europe. And this list was, I guess, a very bizarre list because it included huge companies like Bose, Wilson, and very young guys as us, or Martin Subota, or so it was. There was Valerio Giardi. It was a very bizarre list, and it's true that private developers started calling. This one was the second project we did there. In a way, we learned from the failure of the first one, because in the first one, which I'm not showing you, the first one was a project which was too delicate in retrospect. It was based on subtle proportions, a very particular Yves Klein blue plaster, and so forth, and they realized it, and it was completely bullshit. It's terrible. It's terrible because we had no power in controlling the building site. Somehow when we started the second one, we decided to go for something a bit stupid, a bit ignorant, much more solid, which was supposedly able to survive the sort of nasty process of the building site. Inspiration was this, in a way, studies by Ferris on how regulations might shape building in the city, because indeed the overall shape of the building was almost, it was a bit corrected, was almost the result of the rules. So obviously the developers was pushing for as many square meters as possible. We provided them. There was this relatively simple algorithm, which was in a way imposing this sort of tapering, of the volume, and we corrected it here and there, and that was the result, with elephant-like heaviness. The building was supposed to be built in exposed concrete because labor force over there is very cheap, and inside of the loggias we wanted to have this traditional, very colorful and very beautiful maiolicas. They went for this very different building in a way because it was realized in tiles. Inside of the loggias and the windows there was this pale yellow plaster. The details are terrible, to be honest. At the same time, we think that it was solid, stupid, banal, robust enough to support all of this. They even added a floor, which is the top floor. They added in a very brutal way, and it's very badly built, as you can see. And it's even not the right angle, also it's sort of coming back to verticality. And this is the building in the city. As you can see, Tirana is very somehow joyful city. It's like growing like mushrooms, flat land among these walls of mountains. I kept this project because it's here in Genoa. It's somehow an interesting project, completely unsolved, I guess. At a certain moment, and I got to say thank to Walter in a way. This Genovese developer bought this huge villa in Albao. We did a set of projects together, and then there was a sort of second phase, really unsolved. This guy asked to have the headquarters of his real estate company in the garden of this villa. such a place. It's not easy because they have to confront with the heritage protection system. But even in pure architectural terms, it's not easy to build something close to this huge, not beautiful villa, but nevertheless important villa in this sort of garden. Obviously, I mean, what we thought is, okay, let's work with these elements, not like the frogs in the pool, like this basis for pianesi, like this pavilion for a square in Paris, lasted to so this sort of, we say, almost figurative architecture, which is stretching or surfing the boundary in between architecture, sculpture, or whatever. And we choose the place you see there, which is somehow on the diagonal in between this huge villa and a little church in the corner of the garden. It was, let me say, a bit on the side, a bit to the back. It was along what was formerly a tennis field at the beginning of the past century. And we went for, let's say, the sort of secret strategy, which is not so surprising in the sense that most of the square meters we placed underground along this existing wall over the tennis field. There was a first floor, which you see in the middle, which was composed just by two objects, a huge pentagonal pot for a tree, including a little stairs to go down, and the base of this bigger volume on top of it, which was a sort of microscopical copy of the structure of the villa. So, we say, based on the same rules somehow. Then we started trying to give it face. That is what we achieved. I mean, I don't know if it's beautiful, but we thought of, okay, let's go for this mirroring facade for the base, and over it just add these two heavy blackish volumes in exposed concrete, with this sort of baroque touch of the ribbon window, which is almost like the holes you got in a vial, sort of stuff. Parallelly, and you will see, I guess, on two projects of this sort, we even did a lot of research projects, trials on big scale, which was immediately part of our interest, to the extent that we were really exploiting every possible occasions in order to do this large-scale project. For example, it was a competition organized by Tuji, the Spanish magazine, for a little island close to Guano, supposedly hosting a new lagoon park. And yeah, we say answered like in a way that Lucier did in certain occasions, so simply ignoring the request and completely enlarging the terrain of our intervention. And we took inspiration from this amazing project, which was done in the 60s by the University of Venice. Because basically everybody which was there at the time was involved. And it was a really sort of parallel, we tried to build up, because this one was a competition for the island of Tonqueto, in which the answer of the Venetian University was to erase Tonqueto, erase the bridge toward the mainland, and substitute everything with this very light, very ecological monorail that see of Venice, of this image at least. Our answer was in a way similar, so we decided, okay, let's rethink a bit the lagoon as a system. Let's erase the bridge, let's erase even the train bridge. Let's substitute all this mobility system with a huge monorail, which was even trying to involve in the system the other islands of the northern part of the lagoon. At the same time connecting to a sort of new hub, which was the existing airport and new train station for high-speed train, which was supposed to be built there, maybe it will be there in the next years. In order to represent this project, we took inspiration from this beautiful plan of Istanbul, in which you got, it's a plan, but all the buildings are seen as in elevation, and the monumental complexes, in this case the mosques, are represented as an axonometry, as to stress, to underline their autonomy away from the city fabric. And yeah, we simply did the same. I don't know if it's really visible in these images. So it was really carefully designed, with all these, all the elevations of the public spaces. Here's the point in which the monorail is touching the back of Venice. It was even an attempt, let me say, to try to correct the way in which you approach the island of Venice. Not really the right side, that would be the sea, but at least not really the back side. We placed the new stadium there, which was at the time invaded. Then okay, there were forts of Dorman Long by Sterling and other concessions emerging. Very different project, very different scale, competition for the Expo in Shanghai. It was 2008 when the Italian Minister of Culture organized the competition. Pavilion is always, say, a difficult question, in the sense that to us it was simply like that. What would you do if you have to represent in an expo the heritage, possible idea of heritage of Italian architectural culture as a useful tool for the contemporary city? Italian and, by the way, Mediterranean architectural culture extension. And the answer was relatively simple in a way. What we might export, it's certainly not pizza and Mangolino, although pizza is much more profitable than architecture. What we might export is this incredible amount of civic spaces which have been produced during 2,000 years here in Europe. So we thought simply to build a sort of gigantic city which was collecting samples, recognizable samples and not so recognizable samples of vaulted spaces, names, this sort of, and a certain idea of a possible Roman European architecture. So we just did one room with all the services around the main space, and then this bizarre ceiling that you can see here. Then, okay, it's an expo, so you've got to deal with the fact that the building must be temporary. So this ceiling was completely fake. It was a big supporting sort of substructure in aluminium, supporting just a thin layer of pressed wood, feltwood, we say Joseph Beuys, which was for us even a tool in order to have a very silent room, so no noise inside, as in certain various installations, which was sort of relief after the chaotic experience of the Oriental metropolis. The exterior was simply clad in this sort of soft plastic membrane, like almost a circus, sort of circus tent or an ice skate, something like that. That was the elements of this project. Then, okay, we faced a practical problem, so the competition was asking for a 60 seconds video. We didn't want to use 3D and computer graphics, so we started building this, again, gigantic foam model. If I remember well, it was 1 to 20 or something like that, only of the ceiling. It was foam, glue, aluminium, a lot of stuff. The back of the model was amazing. I mean, the unfinished part was amazing. My eyes like almost a math by Schwitters or something like that. Here you see the two halves. Is the beautiful back, and then we convinced the director of Palazzo Rosso, which, by the way, was very close to the place where we had the office at the time. We convinced her to use a room on Monday when the museum is closed. So we went there Sunday evening, 5 minutes before the museum was closed. We bought the model there, and on Monday we placed it at the right height over pavement, a beautiful red pavement. And let me say that the columns that you see in the back is simply the frescoes on this beautiful room. And there we had a friend of us, which is usually doing video movies. We asked him to do that instead of simply doing another video for 1 hour. And again, project for a large scale. Venice Biennale, Italian Pavilion, 2008. The overall theme for the pavilion was social housing. We proposed the curator to work on Milan, which according to statistics of the time, was in need for like 5,000 houses. We developed this project, which was supposed to build 50,000 houses in order to build these 5,000 houses. And the project, which you see there, it's that cylinder, almost white cylinder on the right. We simply took 1/5, if I'm not mistaken, of the entire municipal territory from the Dome, the Duomo, Milan Duomo, going west. So it was a portion of territory of 2,500 kilometers by 7,500. We did just one mowing, which was an axle in 1 to 1,000. And inside of this portion of territories, we placed the requested amount of houses, like little surgical insertions in the body of the city, with obviously the cliché background idea that we cannot expand the city anymore, we cannot consume the agricultural land anymore, and so forth. And so we profited from a lot of very small situations which were investigated by these bench or lithographic panel, which is this. And we produced this drawing. Here you see 1/3, in which there were these occasions, little occasions for architecture. They were not projects, because they were only designed in axes. It was, in a way, suggesting a possible and very basic idea to deal with this problem of density and consume of the territory and so on. And at the same time, solving nicely, supposedly solving certain problems. And garden the cylinder in order to be a bit more, to say, nice in the shows, even slowly moving. So it was this element of shows. Church we did for a competition in Norway in 2000, maybe 10, 11, I don't remember. This was one of the first ideas about this church. So we have not been there, but according to what we discovered, the site was a beautiful site among, obviously, a forest of pine trees. We came out with this sort of childish white dome among the trees. We started crossing models, again, another dream by OMA, the terminal, somehow for the overall shape, notorious Malaparte Libera Villa, little church by Schindler again, and we came out with this sort of monster, again, sort of hybrid, which was overimposing a relatively complex program on 2-3 layers. And, so there was a ground floor, so my underground floor with all the functions, including the house of the priest, and I don't remember what. There was a first level with the church in itself, and there was this sort of mezzanine above it. It was supposed to be clad with wooden shingles, so to slowly become grayish, as the trunks of the trees around. It was this section. This is a set of beautiful pictures which Stefano Graziani did for us, the guy who was here a couple of days ago talking about lunatics. I mean, it was not possible to bring the model to Norway, so we brought it on the mountains here close to Genoa. It was winter, so it was snow. And we tried to imagine it was Norway. This is the interior. They didn't like, so we did not win. This is possibly the best answer in which, in a way, you forget about this attempt of inserting this porch in front. Then in 2010 we did this competition with Walter Scherzi and his former or current office, I still do not understand, which was or is SPDH, it is. We did this competition organized by the Chamber of Commerce. They own an amazing palace in Strada Nuova. The palace is this one, according to Rubens. Is the plan, the section, the palace after having built the extension in the back, the section somehow of the existing situation. They wanted to have a library there for their collection of books and documents. What we proposed was relatively simple. In a way, we proposed to remove this slab, which is the red one there, which was built in the 50s, 60s, in order to raise the level of this covered courtyard in the back. And we organized this semi-public sequence of spaces from the entrance from Strada Nuova to this vertical space in the middle, and then the exit on a lower square in the back. So the red square you see there is the core of intervention, is this vertical space in which we say at least the public face of the library was condensed. And the library was very simply conceived, so it was this public face, it was a simple room of books, so it's very thin white metallic shelves. It was very low in the moment you enter the space from Strada Nuova, so like simply a handrail, a parapet. But from below it was quite tall with certain openings and this mechanisms around. We won the competition. It will never be built because they don't want, basically they don't want to try to build it. They don't care. Obviously we understood that they don't care after winning the competition. House of Memory in Milan, which was a competition, an invited competition in 2011 or 12. A very complex building somehow, a very particular building because it's, main part of the building is for an archive of the history of liberation. There will be offices for the partisans, for the victims of terrorism, for the victims of Nazi and fascist deportations. There will be an exhibition space, there will be a little conference hall. So we say public building, proper monumental, even though relatively small building. The project we did was in a way working on the heritage of this, of a certain lineage of public buildings like Venetian schools. We got a beautiful one by Sansovino. Like these gigantic buildings you got in North Europe where they were placing the wheat. They were this gigantic and very monumental because it was really the treasure of the community. Wheat storage spaces, other buildings like this beautiful hybrid in Florence. Our answer was dealing on what is heritage. Inside was a very, very simple space, so let me say, just sequence of floors for these offices, common space, ground floor, exposed archive, this sort of court of the stairs of the San Siro Stadium inside, as painted by Milano Artigas. Outside, we thought, okay, let's try to fix the memory of Milan in the 19th century. Let's try what they were used to do, what they used to do in the Middle Age. So let's try to build a collective memory which is stable, which is maybe then implemented by the soft memory which will be lost inside. So in a way combining again Richter with something much older, we came out with these facades which are showing this collective memory through composition of small bricks. Again, Stefano Graziani taking pictures at 6 a.m. in Duomo Square. And inside, I mean, because the budget was very limited, the House of Memory is really like a very simple box. Just the size of it is in a way slightly monumental, even the size. Facades, possibility for a participation process in order to define what to put on the facades. First trials on the real consistency, material consistency of the facades, sections, the exposed part of the archive, public terrace on top, all the plans of all the levels, uses, maybe that include materials which jury members might like. Program, plan of the ground floor, so proper public floor. First trials of the facade, so proper mock-up is an idea of building a mosaic which from very close is just colors, you know, so 6 different colors of these bricks, but from afar, from 10, 12, 15 meters, might start to tell a story. We are now building. These are just some photos, some pictures from the site. Inside space, exposed archive. These are the levels of the office, the stairs, and the lowest part of this facade. In the lowest part we got half a brick, in the highest part, in the higher part we will have a quarter of a brick. Here it's simply patterns, and yeah, the technique we developed, very primitive technique. It's in a way that we simply print these numbers, you know, which are related to the 6 colors. We glue these papers one-to-one on the foam of the insulation, and then they will put the bricks one by one. So this is the first build patterns. Again, Stefano Graziani, Duomo Square. A recent project last year with Kun Malvezzi and Yellow Office, landscape office. Great mosque for Pristina, Kosovo, so let me say the Muslim community which wants to build a monument for a sort of attempt to a national identity, at least a part of it. It's even an answer to a gigantic church which is under construction right now there. We thought, okay, it's a mosque, so okay, it was Ottoman area, so maybe the Ottoman mosque is the model. At the same time, it's Balkans, so maybe we might have a turbo folk mosque, you know, so it has large, sort of Balkanian touch. And we proposed this sort of, yeah, again, superimposition of the program, which was insane, you know, because there was this huge parking place, shopping, courtyard, and we just put everything on top of the rest. That was the brutal, somehow brutal result, which we thought was really working into the city because the spot was like 15 kilometers from the center, in a city which is, I mean, a continuous pole with just some little towers or landmarks, whatever, in a landscape which is extremely hilly, you know. So we said, okay, this object might work in terms of action, in terms of monumentality. Here you see the plans, so from the circular organization of the parking levels, the square, which in our case was in between the parking and the mosque, the shopping area, which was just below the square, and then on the hexagon, in the belly of the body of the mosque. So just under the pavement of the mosque, we placed the house of the Imam and the learning conference center. The mosque itself is the main area, so the lower ground, women area, elevations, mosaic, golden mosaic on the upper part of the cylinder, because we thought, okay, it's better not to put a minaret because it's too easy in a way, and we thought that this mosaic was already telling us about the religious or at least creatures essence of the architectural object. Same strategy for the vault over the square, so the space in between, which was the way looking at the city 360 degrees. Attempts of making nice renders. The vault again, space in between. The main hall with this gigantic lamp, sort of inverted dome on the model of the roof of the conference hall of the Communist headquarters, Communist Party headquarters by Niemeyer in Paris. So with these aluminium lamellas, and yeah, maybe the only moment in which this object is nice toward the city, so during night, with a bit of neon lights. They didn't like. The vision was won by a really 16th century alike Ottoman project. And having seen the pictures of the guys, of the jury members, I understand why. Very recent project. We were invited to do a project for the Bahrain Pavilion at Expo in Milan. It was, they invited 5 officers. This is the side plan. No, it's this relatively narrow and long street. We started with this banal, again, idea. No? The export is about agriculture, food, and whatsoever. Bahrain is now basically desert. They say once it was completely green. They would like to try to make it green again. So we thought, let's simply present this double condition. This double condition. Let's present the desert and the gardens of Babylon. Just build 2 spaces. One in which you try to recreate the idea of the desert in Milan. So let's amplify the size, amplify the harshness of the climatic conditions with mirrors. Let's put sand from Bahrain on the floor. And the other room, just a greenhouse, put a lot of palms, water, and so forth. So water. Obviously, in the background, the idea of Muslim paradise. Plans, section, it was supposed to be built with blocks of yellow concrete. This is the model we did for visualizing against Graziani. With not so much time to take decent pictures, but still trying. We lost. Anne won with a beautiful project, I have to say, and in retrospect, I really think we didn't want to win, because, come on, I mean, Bahrain is trying to show a democratic face, and we propose them a sort of huge wall, 12 meters high, just really saying, I'm a dictatorship, I got power, fuck you, so we lost. And yeah, I mean, Anne project is much more up to the situations, to their desire of being light, more modern, and so forth. A project we did with Ido Abisar, so with Lisp, and Yellow Office, again, it's in a way in the same area of the other project Ido showed you yesterday. So, this is the area of the path between. This is Le Vernet area, which is just on the east side of the park, so it's Genève. The area is this sort of squarish shape along the arc, this very cold river coming from Boulouage. So very specific geographical condition because south, sun, east, this hill, which I don't remember the name, north, Arve, east, west, sorry, the Jura. We thought, okay, the project, the brief was for houses, a lot of houses. We thought, okay, if you do such a piece of city, you need to give something back to the city. Do so many square meters, you have to give something back to the city. Let's create a sort of park in the north as an extension of the wild nature along the arc. Let's create in southern part a possibility for square public space, square type of public space. So let's divide east-west with sort of sun-preferred gesture, so the modern movement ideology side. We place this very long but relatively low slab east-west, and we develop a park with towers and a school in the northern part, and a sort of micro-Manhattan in the lower part. Axle of the first phase, sections, model of the first phase, qualities of the different apartments, so the slab with sun towards south, and forest in the back, the architecture of the slab, again, details. Second phase, we built a big model in order to be able to get decent images. In retrospect, maybe it was designers to try to achieve a certain Swiss monotonous tone. That's what we did. That's what we did. We entered the second phase, in which, by the way, Nicola Barbieri was, but we lost. Nicola didn't win, so. But
they do not run.
Yeah. And other images, again, Stefano Graziani, taking pictures. Let's say, I simply show you. This was the part of the park, between the towers and the long slab with this circular Brazilian school in the middle, along the arc. This was this square public space, very fragmented somehow, along the long slab, between the long slab and the Manhattan, which we have seen years ago. Again, on the other side, conditions of towers typology, the model in the room. Manhattan again, towards the end, beautiful landscape by Yellow Office. Last project, very quickly, competition we won in Flanders, in a very small village called Oostrachen, in which they got this big former seminary school, which is now just a school. This school is not an amazing place. I mean, the best building is a building from the late 30s we are supposed to enter. We got one thing, which is this amazing courtyard, which at the moment is very defined, but it's very big, like 200 meters by 40 meters. In a way, we sold them the story that this courtyard was really an amazing asset for them, and we sold it using Bramante's Belvedere. And in the project, with the limited amount of tools we had at disposal, we simply tried to, let me say, make a courtyard out of nothing. In the sense that the courtyard is not completely surrounded by buildings. As far as you go deep in the plot and you are far from the street, basically the courtyard disappears. Nevertheless, we inserted a little porch, renewing the graphic of the pave, adding some objects here and there, and we tried to give the idea of a courtyard to constellation of little interventions. And then, okay, we imagined a new face toward the street with this very long bays. We did so many things with this project, I don't know if we measure it in details. We want this competition, I guess it will be a very long process, possibly a very important process because it involves so many actors, but I guess it should happen. It should happen. It should happen. So, by the way, it's definitely and pictures. So, using these porches, always in the same style, and trying to recreate this sort of overall space and courtyard. A bit of weirdness here and there. Very long fountain, sort of stage, a chapel, they don't like. And okay, just a simple detail, we took the style or technique of the columns inside of the existing church, and we used it to recreate our columns for the porches and lamps